Hey, hi, this is Gautam. Welcome back. In this beer market, okay, uh, you tend to realize more than ever that picking a good business, of course, is very important, and picking a good business at the right value is paramount. It's very important. Okay, uh, so yeah, you need to make sure that you're not overpaying for any business. Okay, uh, and of course, I know that valuations are subjective. Okay, but at the basic level, I think it would not hurt, let's say, anyone who's interested, to learn how to research and value a business. Okay. And not rely on tips. If you're a stock picker, you should certainly not rely on tips. You should be able to research and value a business. If you're a stock picker, or if you, let's say, if you are a student. Okay? But yeah, if you do not want to get into that jhanjat, you just leave it to the pros, leave it to the fund managers, let them do this job. All right. Anyway, yeah, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I am going to walk you through a very interesting theme that I came across recently. It's the uh, so this theme is a play on the infrastructure and real estate growth in India. Okay? So the industry is concrete machinery. Okay? So I am going to just spend some time on the industry and one uh, and one company which operates in this industry. I also would compare it with different peers in the industry. The company I'm talking about is Ajax Engineering, IPO very recently. Okay, and see, uh, your takeaway from this video should be, uh, or rather, what I'll suggest is, please, of course, I'll talk about this business. Okay, I'll spend some time on this business, but I would encourage, okay, that if this you like this theme, if you like this business, okay, you do research on your own. Okay, because I would not be very exhaustive. Okay, but certainly I'll hope that I'll see the idea in you, that this is how you can go about and research a business. Okay, uh, so that's one. And then also, towards the end, I would do a very quick back of the envelope valuation. I would not go full throttle. Usually, which I do, that I model the three financial statements and then I do a DCF. I would not do that. I would be doing a very quick DCF valuation in this case. Okay, and I'll hope that you can pick it up. Okay, because this quick DCF valuation anyone can do, provided that you follow and you spend that time and effort. Okay, all right. So without further ado, let's get started. See, I've divided the entire content into two parts, so two videos. In part one, or video one, okay, which is this video, I'll cover the concrete machinery industry and also discuss Ajax engineering, which is present in this industry. Again, my intention is that you understand how you would go about analyzing a heavy machinery business such as Ajax engineering. And for smaller companies like Ajax, you need to go beyond the documents that are made available to you to do a thorough research. Okay? मतलब आपको स्कटलबट रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा. Scuttlebutt method of investment research was a term pioneered by Philip Fisher in his book Common Stock and Uncommon Profits. Okay, so this would be video one. In video two, I will do a quick DCF valuation of this business. I'd walk you through the steps on how you could go about valuing a business rather quickly, and you would also realize that one needs to do, again, to reinforce the point, that one needs to do a thorough research on a business and before you can go about valuing it. All right, so let's get started with video one. All right, I hope I'm getting recorded. See, uh, first, let's understand methods of concrete manufacturing. Okay, so this business itself is in concrete machinery. So we first, of course, need to understand कि concrete बनता कैसे है. Okay, see, so how do you make concrete? You mix cement with some other things, and that's how you make concrete. Yeah, cement, of course, is a key ingredient for concrete. Okay, and there are broadly three methods to manufacture concrete. Okay, so the most predominant method in India is manual. So if you look at uh, uh, this snippet, okay, so let's say if you want to construct your house, okay, you have some small time construction. So what you would do is, either you will go to the cement dealer, or you'll ask your mistri or a small time contractor. They'll go and buy cement bags. Okay, and then the concrete is made manually on site. So typically, and 75% of all the concrete that's made in India is made through this manual method. ठीक है, राइट? तो मतलब you just mix on, आपने देखा होगा, you on site में, on the construction site, cement is mixed with water and mortar and other things, and that's how you made concrete. Okay, तो ये बहुत predominant method है. Okay, and then, but if you, let's say, if you need concrete to be made, if you need larger volumes of concrete to be made, let's say you have uh, some road, you need to construct roads, or you have a, let's say, even residential properties or what have you. So if you have a larger construction, okay, so you have a larger volume of larger concrete volume requirement. Okay, तो आप क्या करोगे? You will use this method. So in which what happens is you use SLCM. What is SLCM? SLCM stands for self-loading concrete mixing. Okay, so 14% of the concrete in India is made through this SLCM method. And what is LCM? LCM is nothing but they are these trucks in which you have these concrete mixers attached. It looks something like this. Yeah. So these are called SLCM, self-loading concrete mixers. Okay. This is one of the concrete equipment, manufacturing equipment, concrete machinery. Okay. So as I said, this is employed for larger volumes of concrete. Okay. Typically above, let's say if you want to make concrete above 30 cubic meters in volume, so you'll employ this method. So 14% of the concrete in India is made through this method. So remaining 11% of the concrete in India is made through this method, जो नीचे है यहाँ पे. So here, so what happens is, so if you, let's say, if you want to construct, let's say, a large dam, or if you want to construct these big highways or big bridges, okay, huge residential properties, okay, so any construction which requires very huge volumes of concrete, okay, then this method is employed, which is of course very efficient. Even SLCM is very, by the way, SLCM is of course very efficient vis-a-vis this manual mixing. Yeah, SLCM is very efficient in the sense that, of course, because a large portion of the process here is automated, so it will ensure that the ingredients are mixed in proper proportion, so there is consistency in concrete. And of course, the process is largely automated, so it's efficient, so you don't have to spend on manual labor as itna zyada. So in that way, of course, it's both SLCM and even this method, which is called RMC, has advantages over this manual mixing method. Okay, और RMC का मतलब होता है, this third method, use of RMC, it stands for, RMC stands for ready mixed concrete. So 11% of the concrete which is made in India is made through this method. तो क्या होता है कि you basically just set up batching plants at the construction site. So batching plant is, don't think of batching plant as a stationary plant. Think of it as a mobile plant. Wherever you have construction, these batching plants or this batching plant machinery would be installed at the construction sites, और वहां पे concrete is made, okay, on site. Okay, so batching plant is another concrete machinery, concrete making equipment. ठीक है, and of course तो अगर उससे थोड़ा ट्रांसपोर्ट भी करना है, तो you can transport the concrete ready mixed concrete through transit mixers. Okay, so these are like trucks. Okay, तो इसमें आप, तो this is another concrete equipment, concrete machinery. Okay, so these are the three processes through which concrete is made in India. Okay, let's move forward. All right, so if you look at this chart, it says that cement consumption in India is poised to grow. It poised to grow at 8% CAGR over the next 5 years. Okay, and as today, even 5 years from now, largely 1/3 of the cement, consumption would be towards infrastructure development. Remaining 2/3 would be consumed by real estate. Okay, the development of real estate. Okay, so what it means is, and of course, cement, as we discussed, is used to make concrete. Okay, and then the theme that we are discussing is concrete machinery. Okay, so concrete machinery is a play on the real estate development, infrastructure development in the country. Okay, that's what the larger message is. All right. See, as we discussed a couple of minutes ago, that ready mixed concrete drives 11% of the total concrete consumption in India. Okay, so and we love to compare we love to benchmark India against global players, which is fine, which is of course needed as well. So if you see, 11% India, 11% pe hai, and if you look at all these countries that we have here, most of them are developed economies. Okay, so all of them are above over 50%. So India, once it becomes a developed economy, Okay, what it means is the RMC, ready mix concrete, would iska trend would be on the increase, would be on the would rise because 11% is too low if you compare India with global benchmarks. Okay, and if you look at this chart here on the right, okay, so China right now 24% of the concrete consumption back 20 years ago, 24% of the concrete consumption in India was through RMC. It grew by 2x in 10 years, and then it grew further by 1.5x. So look at the increase. Okay, so we can assume that India may have similar growth in the next decade or two or so. All right, because India would then slowly but steadily would become a developed economy. Okay, and as we know, RMC is required for large volumes of concrete. Okay? It's for large construction projects. Okay, so of course, RMC ka, there should be, the consumption of RMC should increase in the future. Let's move forward. This slide just reinforces the same thing that we had discussed earlier. If you look at RMC, 11% of concrete consumption by RMC, it's poised to grow to 17% over the next 5 years. Okay? 17% of overall concrete consumption will be driven by RMC in 5 years. SLCM, 14% of concrete consumption driven by SLCM today. Again, it may increase to 24% 5 years from now. And manual mixing, concrete which is made through manual mixing, that would reduce over time. Okay, that's the trend that has been happening earlier, and this trend is expected to continue in the future. Okay. All right, so I flipped over to the RHP of Ajax Engineering just to walk you through the kind of concrete equipments or products, okay, which are there in this industry. Okay, so we've already discussed SLCM. Okay, so if you see, this is how what an SLCM looks like. It is used to make concrete on site. Okay, for mid-size projects. Okay, that's what LCM machinery is used for. Now, batching plants, again, as we discussed, if you look at this batching plant, this is how it looks like. These two cylinders, so they are installed near the construction site, and in the construction site, your concrete is manufactured on the site. Okay, so which that's why the name is ready mix concrete. Okay, so this is another concrete machinery equipment that is sold by companies like Ajax. Okay, let's move forward. Then, of course, you have transit mixers to move concrete from one place to the other. Okay. Now let's look at two other concrete equipments, concrete machineries. Okay. Boom pumps and stationary concrete pumps. Okay. So boom pumps, as it says, it's used to accurately place concrete. See, आपने पहले concrete बना लिया, उसके बाद you have to place concrete, right, between the bricks or what have you, right, to make buildings. So this boom pumps, they used to place concrete को बिछाने के लिए, all right. So and it could be adjusted in height. So let's say if you're constructing a tall building, so the boom pump, the height could be adjusted and it would place the concrete, so it can reach height and far places with precision. Okay, so that's what this machine is for. Okay. And stationary concrete pumps. Okay? These pumps, they can place concrete in areas that are difficult with other types of pumps. So that's what you have, other type of pumps as well, stationary concrete pumps. Okay. See, this is a complete value chain. If you look at this diagram, okay, this is the complete value chain. Let me just expand the size a little bit. Okay. So pehle you produce concrete by either of these two methods. Okay. Then you may have to transport it. Okay. If you are far away from the construction site, okay, and then you place the concrete using stationary concrete pumps, boom pumps, and then there is another machinery called pavers. Okay, so this is the entire value chain of making concrete and then using concrete to make buildings. Okay. All right, so I just flipped over to a different section of the RHP. Okay, so here let's discuss the product demand. So we already discussed all these 5 products. Okay, so for SLCM, it's projected that in 2024, okay, 6,000 units of SLCM was sold in the industry. It's but projected that in 5 years, more than 2x, okay, of SLCM will be sold. Okay, so basically, this product or this equipment will grow more than 2x. Okay? Similarly, batching plant will also grow similarly 2x, okay? And transit mixers will grow 3x, so on and so forth. I'm talking about the volume growth. okay, projected volume growth, okay, which is mentioned in the RHP for the industry. Okay. And I also calculated the unit prices based upon information in the RHP, the average unit prices. So an SLCM on an average is sold in the industry for around 35 lakh rupees. Batching plant is sold for 45 lakh rupees, so on and so forth. So these are like expensive machinery that we're talking about. Let's say once a contractor, yeah, the construction jo karta hai, once they, let's say, purchase this machinery, of course, they're going to use it for a long period of time, right? And if they have concurrent projects on the go, of course, then they'll purchase more of this equipment. Okay. But typically, what I recall from the con call from Ajax Engineering, that the life of this machinery is typically 8 to 10 years. Okay. And they also typically try to sweat it beyond 10 years, but 8 to 10 years is the typical useful life of these products. Okay. And you can, of course, so I see here I have the quantity information, volume information, and have the price information. So you can multiply the price with P times Q, price times quantity, and you'll get the key revenue in 2024, and you'll also get the revenue in 2029, revenue potential in 2029. Okay, so you can do that math on your own. Okay, and one word of, if I may, okay, see these projections which you see in red, okay, for FY29, these are given in the RHP by this, I think the research firm is Red Seer. Okay, so yeah, you can take these projections for your own modeling or estimates, what have you. But I'd encourage to, I'll encourage you to, let's say, form your own judgment, to, let's say, make your own projections if to the extent possible, if you can. Okay. All right. So one key industry trend which is happening in India right now is we now have new emission norms in this calendar year, which are called construction equipment vehicle 5 norms. Up until calendar year 2024, we had CEV 4, but now we have CEV 5. Okay. So what it says is production of older vehicle models compliant to CEV 4 will cease, paving the way for the introduction of newer models compliant to CEV 5. Manufacturers will have a 6-month grace period, okay, to sell off the old inventory, which is CEV 4. So they are talking about vehicles. Okay? So your SLCM, your transit mixers, which are compliant to CV4, that will have to be so inventory relating to these products will have to be sold off in the 6 months. Okay. Or further, it goes on to say prices are projected to increase from 1st July 2025 in the range of 5 to 15%, and the increase will take over a period of 2-3 years. So what is happening right now is there is a front loading of demand from the customers, from the contractors who are buying these equipments, because they know starting July 2025, all the newer models that these companies will come up with, they'll have a slightly higher price. So they are already buying the older models, okay, because you can, of course, get it for slightly cheaper. So that is what is happening, front loading of demand. Okay? And even in the previous transition from CE3 to CE4 in April 2021, we witnessed a price increase of approximately 10 to 15%, which was absorbed over a span of 2-3 years. Additionally, commodity price inflation is projected to rise at a CAGR of 1-2%, which is leading to the price increase. So, and the reason why there is a price increase in these equipments, okay, is not only because they are compliant, because they have to be compliant with this new emission norm. So perhaps they would require more raw materials, or there's increase in the price of raw materials, so which is contributing to the increase in price of the end product, which would be made and sold off to customers. So this is one thing which is happening. तो अभी क्या होगा, जो Q4 के numbers होंगे FY25 के, you could see, you would expect that there'll be good numbers, but in FY26, my sense is you may see slightly, a lesser demand than what you saw in FY25, because as I said, there's a front loading of demand which is happening. Customers पहले से ही अपना ये product खरीद रहे हैं, because price increase होने वाला है. Okay, so that is something you have to keep in mind. All right. Now, see, if you compare Ajax with all the other players who are in concrete machinery in India, okay, you would see that Ajax actually has presence across all the products. Okay, and then Ajax has the highest market share in SLCM, which is very commendable, 25% market share, very commendable, as I said. And then you have Schwingstetter, which is a Japanese company. Sorry, not a Japanese, sorry, German company. Okay. And in fact, they were acquired by a Chinese company called XCMG back in 2012. This company was acquired by a Chinese company back in 2012. So it has a Chinese parent now. Okay. So my sense is Schwingstetter, it likely has the highest market share in SLCM and other equipments, concrete equipments. Okay, and it also has a very good presence, comprehensive presence across the entire value chain of concrete machinery. And then you have two other companies. You have Puttmeitzer, which is again a German company, which again has a Chinese parent. They were acquired by a Chinese company back in 2012, same time as this company was acquired by a Chinese company. So इसका Chinese parent का नाम है Sands Heavy. Sands Heavy is a Chinese company which acquired this company Puttmeitzer. Okay. So, and then you have this KYV Combat. So, an Indian company collaborated with a Japanese company. So, they also are into concrete machinery in India. Besides these four, I think there are a couple of more other companies, okay, which are not there in the listed in the RHP, but there are a couple of more companies into concrete machinery. But any which ways, at the risk of repetition, Ajax has done a very good job having a highest market share in SLCM. Okay, but of course, it remains to be seen as to what kind of traction they can develop in some of the other equipments. Okay, because as we saw in our earlier discussion, demand for not only SLCM but also RMC batching plants and these concrete pumps and boom pumps is going to increase in India. Okay, so it will be interesting to see what kind of traction that they are able to develop in other product categories. Okay, and one thing more, you see, if I talk about pavers for 30 seconds, pavers, if you see, there are three companies. Okay, but Meister is not present in pavers. Ajax is present in pavers. Ajax came up with pavers around 2019, 2020. Okay, but as per when I read through the RHP, my sense is that I don't think they're selling a lot of pavers right now. So it's still early days for them in this pavers, in this equipment. Okay, all right. So I think so that's why, as I said, it's we have to assess what kind of traction they can develop in other machinery besides SLCM. SLCM तो फोड़ दिया है उन्होंने, बाकी कैसे करते हैं वो इंटरेस्टिंग होगा, बाकी अदर दूसरे प्रोडक्ट्स में क्या डिमांड केटर कर पाते हैं वो इंटरेस्टिंग होगा. Let's okay. See, in the last slide we spoke briefly about these three companies. In the middle I have three other companies. Again, these are three Indian companies: Action Construction Equipment, Bharat Earth Movers, Escorts Kubota. Now, these three companies are not present in concrete machinery per se. Okay, they are present in the broader construction machinery and not in concrete machinery. Please keep that in mind. Okay, so if I just do a quick comparison of Ajax with these three players which are there in concrete machinery. So Ajax has did a revenue of 1700 or 1800 CR back in 2024, okay, at a margin of 15-16%. Okay, all right. And if you see these three companies, Schwingstetter has the highest revenue, has the highest revenue of around 5,400 CR. Okay, and I think 50-60% of it is based upon a CRISIL report. 50-60% of this 5,400. So I think around 3,500 CR of this revenue is on concrete machinery. मतलब Schwingstetter का concrete machinery का revenue is twice that of Ajax Engineering. So इसका मतलब, as you saw in the last slide, कि although they are not selling a lot of SLCMs, but they are selling a lot of other RMC products, batch plants, transit mixers, and those concrete pumps, etc. तो इनका likely highest share है उन सब में. Okay, but their EBITDA margin is pretty low, 6%, 5-6%. Okay, but Meister is a smaller company and KYV Combat again is a smaller company. But if you see Ajax has the highest EBITDA margin. Okay, if you against all three, Ajax has the highest EBITDA margin. Okay. Now, also if I talk about the ROCE, okay, तो इनका ROC Ajax का is 30%, and then in low का ROCE is not that high. So Ajax seems to be, and plus let me tell you, Ajax is debt free. Ajax has not taken, it's almost has zero debt. Okay, so it's a very well run company. If you take a look at the financials, generating good cash flow, quite cash rich. They have a lot of cash on their books. Schwingstetter, on the other hand, has taken a lot of debt. Okay, and Puttmeitzer, they don't have a lot of debt. Okay, but Schwingstetter has a lot of debt on its books. Okay, तो इससे आप कुछ सेंस लगा सकते हो कि how is Ajax running their operation vis-a-vis other foreign players which are operating in India. Okay, and if I also look at the market cap, compare the market cap and the multiple of Ajax against each of the other players in the concrete machinery space, Ajax ka market cap is around 7,000 CR, which is close to $0.8 billion US. Okay? तो ईवी एबिटा मल्टीपल इज 22x, 22 टाइम्स एबिटा में ट्रेड कर रहा है राइट नाउ। स्विंगस्टेटर का अगर मैं पेरेंट की बात करूं, because this entity is not publicly traded, but if I look at the talk about the parent, their parent is XCMG, which is a Chinese company. they are they have a market cap of 14 billion, trading at around 11 times EBITDA. And then Putzmeister, again, its parent is a Chinese company. They have a market cap of 21 billion, trading at 20 times EBITDA. Okay, and both these two companies, they have a of course, they have a very strong presence in China. But they have good presence in other regions in Asia and elsewhere. Okay, so they are pretty global in that sense. Okay, so and you can look at the market cap and the multiple. I think Putzmeister ka EBITDA multiple, I'll have to double check. The parent company ka, I think it may not be 20x, but again, you get the you kind of can do your diligence and find out कि क्या multiple है. All right, let's move forward. All right. So I wanted to let you know that I have a program in which I mentor students and working professionals on equity research and valuation. Okay, so if you are a student and working professional and aspire to learn skills in this area, then feel free to reach out to me. I see. One other interesting factor about Ajax is that they boast that they have the largest dealer network. They have 51 dealers in India through which they sell their products. They also have 63 branches, of which 34 active service centers managed and operated by dealers. See, in any heavy equipment machinery business, okay, it's it's important to understand uh, the presence of not only the dealers through which they sell their product, but also their after sales service as well. What is the presence of their after sales service? What is the presence of their service centers? Ki, do they have, let's say if you are in a state and in some state and you buy their product, but you do not have their service centers close by or in your state, and then you would and these are expensive machines, right? So you would be running pillar to post to get the problem rectified. So it's important for these companies to have good presence of their service centers across the length and breadth of the country. And here in the RHP, they claim they have 34 service centers. Okay. Schwingstetter, the company that you saw in the last slide, they claim they have 10 service centers. So अगर optically बस compare करें 34 with 10, certainly you will conclude कि Ajax has a moat, right? Because this is of course one of the most critical factors. But what I would advise कि don't take everything at face value. Okay, at times it's also optics. So you have to do your own due diligence and try to find out if possible कि ये जो 34 service centers हैं, do all of them provide, let's say, do they all of them provide end-to-end service? Let's say 90% of them provide just high level some service, and only a few of them, 10% of them, let's say, provide end-to-end or end-to-end service. So you have to basically find out about and also the quality of their after-sales service. Okay, so and that's what makes investing and research work hard, right? Because you cannot solely depend upon the information which is present to you. You have to do some scuttlebutt, okay, which I will discuss more in subsequent slide. Okay, for now, let me take you through the investor presentation. So if you look at this map, India ka map, you see you certainly they have a good presence, pan dealer presence, dealer network का presence काफी अच्छा है. Okay. What is not very clear to me is the number of service centers. Okay, shall I if you read through this legend, should I count these blue dots or these blue triangles? Okay, कि service centers कहाँ पे हैं? So it's not very clear कि truly the number of service centers that they have. Okay, so you can accuse me of being overly critical, but that's fine. Okay, so because this is one of the key factors which, let's say, would differentiate one company vis-a-vis the other. So that's why I am kind of stressing upon after sales service centers कि कितने service centers हैं और किस type की service provide करते हैं, and do they provide end-to-end service. Okay, so I'm kind of stressing on these three factors. Okay, so I encourage that you do your diligence. Okay, and as I said, I'll spend more time on this topic. Okay, let me move forward for now. All right. Okay. Pardon this headline. I think let me just let me change the headline. Sorry about that. All right. So here in this slide, what I have is if you look at the left column, these are the typical sources of moat that you need to assess, that you need to examine to assess moat in any business. Okay. and I have made detailed videos on this topic as well. ठीक है, तो सी अगर हम कॉस्ट एडवांटेज की बात करें, so this company certainly has high margin than others. You can, of course, I check for a couple of years, but encourage that you go back in time. Okay? For competition की competition का margin कैस क्या है? Okay? Do not conclude just in a couple of years or 3 years alone. If I talk about low leverage, this company certainly has done a good job. They have virtually no leverage. Okay? Stetter has a lot of leverage. Okay? If I talk about distribution, yeah, they have extensive dealer network through which they sell their products. After sales network, they claim that they have 34 service centers. Stetter has 9, 10 service centers pan India. Okay? So, but you also need to find out what is the level of their after sales service support. And also, in my mind, at least, there is, I need to be clear कि कितने service centers हैं. So probably I can write to the management, you can write to the management, and we can do some scuttlebutt to find out कि actual में कितने service centers they have, okay, which provide end-to-end service. Okay. Then, of course, in any business, you have to examine competition. This Ajax has done a great job in SLCM. They have the highest share. Okay. But again, an open question that we have, okay, to perhaps bolster my conviction in this company is is RMC product suite, your batching plants, etc., are they getting traction? Okay, in future SLCM का demand तो आएगा ही, but there is a huge demand for SLCM, but RMC also will have has a lot of legs. There will be a lot of demand for your batching plants, etc. Okay, so that is something we need to gauge कि क्या है, and how you can gauge that by understanding customer reviews, customer recall, traction. Okay, you try to find out, and that's an open question. That's something I need to do as well, and I encourage that. This is the research part which I was talking about earlier in the video. कि आपको खुद से research करना चाहिए कि what are the customer reviews on about competitor product versus that of Ajax. Resale value क्या है? अगर आप इतनी महंगी मशीन खरीद रहे हो, उसका रीसेल क्या है? अजैक्स का व्हाट आई कुड फाइंड राइट नाउ कि अजैक्स के प्रोडक्ट का रीसेल वैल्यू काफी अच्छा है. एंड देन व्हाट्स द काइंड ऑफ मेंटेनेंस व्हेन यू बाय दिस एक्सपेंसिव मशीनरी. ठीक है, प्लेस इन द शूज योरसेल्फ इन द शूज ऑफ अ कॉन्ट्रैक्टर और जो ये प्रोडक्ट खरीदेगा, आप क्या देखोगे कि आर यू एबल टू सेल देम प्रोडक्ट्स एट अ रीजनेबल वैल्यू, और मेंटेनेंस क्या है इन प्रोडक्ट्स का आफ्टर यू बॉट देम. अगर लो मेंटेनेंस है, रीसेल वैल्यू हाई है, यू आर हैप्पी, सर्विस अच्छी मिल रही है, सर्विस सेंटर्स अच्छे हैं, देन तभी तो गुडविल बनेगा, वर्ड ऑफ माउथ बनेगा, एंड पीपल विल स्टार्ट मोर एंड मोर पीपल विल स्टार्ट बाइंग देयर प्रोडक्ट, राइट? सो इट्स जस्ट बेसिक लॉजिक. सो यू गॉट टू लाइक get a sense of how customers are perceiving their product and resale value vis-a-vis others, and what is the degree of maintenance. So these are some of the open questions that I'm in the process of trying to find out. Okay. All right. So so again, let's just move forward. See, kabhi bhi for any small company, this is a small cap. It's not a micro cap, but this is a small cap company. Okay? Your research does not end in just reading through the documents which are made available to you. And again, that's what makes investing in equity research even hard. Okay, you have to do secondary research. You have to do a lot of research. Let's say मैं example लेता हूँ. You find कि कौन से dealers हैं of concrete machinery in the country. Call them up. Okay? In fact, in the RHP, they do list the top 10 dealers that they have. Okay? In fact, what you could do is you could call up those 10 dealers, or you also try to find out are there any concrete machinery dealers in your city. Call them up and try to, or visit their office and find the below information. As I was saying, how are customers perceiving, what is customers' perception of Ajax K product versus Schwingstetter K product, specifically RMC. SLCM तो इन्होंने फोड़ दिया है, बट RMC की प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, batching plants, etc., उसमें what are customers saying about Ajax and what are customers saying about Schwingstetter and others. Okay? और उससे आप पता करने की कोशिश करो कि are Ajax RMC products, are they getting any traction? Okay? क्योंकि RMC में बहुत ग्रोथ है. And also, again, the risk of repeating myself, how is Ajax after sales service vis-a-vis competitors versus competitors? Okay? How many service centers, spare parts की availability क्या है, and response time from Ajax. Let's say if a customer calls up Ajax, then how quickly are they able to respond to Ajax? So these are some of the open questions that are there in my mind. Okay, which is something we need to do a scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt is basically the process of gathering as much information about a company that you can by talking with, let's say, their customers, their supply partners, etc., etc. So आप इन sources से information gather करने की सोच करो beyond what is there in public disclosures. That is what Scuttlebutt in investing is. Okay. So and also the other information that we need to find out is कि customer का repeat rate क्या है. Okay? And then डीलर्स को कोई व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इंसेंटिव डू डीलर्स गेट फ्रॉम अजैक्स वर्सेस अदर कंक्रीट मशीनरी प्लेयर्स, क्योंकि देखो सी दिस इंडस्ट्री इज अ कॉम्पिटिटिव इंडस्ट्री. ओके, तो आपको इन ऑर्डर फॉर यू टू लेट्स से गेट अ सेंस ऑफ व्हाट काइंड ऑफ ग्रोथ दिस कंपनी कैन हैव इन द फ्यूचर इन इंडिया, you need to of course understand these factors. Okay, all right, qualitatively at least, तभी आप एक अनुमान लगा पाओगे. Okay, right, see, and if you find something, okay, uh, please be open to share your information. Perhaps we can collaborate on the research as well, because I intend to do this research on my own as well. But yeah, if you find something, feel free to contact me. Perhaps we can collaborate on the research together. Okay. All right. See, now let's. I know we do not know a whole lot about these points that I've listed here. Okay, so research is still WIP, work in progress. So let me now try to value this business. I'll do a very quick back of the envelope valuation. Okay, and I'll hope that you can value you can just use the same method which I'll demonstrate abhi. You can use it to value any other business on your own. Okay, I'm talking about a quick DCF valuation. Okay, so as I say, I would not go full throttle. I'll do a quick back of the envelope valuation of this company. Okay, and hoping that you should be able to understand it. Okay, genuine question would be कि जब इतना पता नहीं है तो कैसे value करेंगे? Again, so because we do not know a whole lot. Okay, because I still need answers to these questions, at least qualitatively. So what I'll do for now is, in my valuation, I'll assume a slightly conservative growth rate. मैं थोड़ा conservative assumptions लूंगा. Okay, and only when, let's say, I start getting answers, I'll be perhaps a little aggressive or perhaps be even more conservative, okay, depending upon what my Scuttlebutt research tells me. Okay, so let's move on to the valuation. All right. So I wanted to let you know that I have a program in which I mentor students and working professionals on equity research and valuation. Okay, so if you are a student and working professional and aspire to learn skills in this area, then feel free to reach out to me. So let me know if you are interested. So in this program, I cover concepts through live exercises. I cover diverse industries, okay? And I focus a lot on business research. Okay? A lot of people, they jump to valuation without doing a thorough research on the business. Okay, and as you can see, business research, business analysis is very important before you value a business, because otherwise valuation becomes a mechanical exercise. All right. So if you are interested to know about this program, all right, let me know. Thank you.